after 2 games, what's the real Warriors? What's the real Celtics? And again, all we can ask is both teams playing close to their best level. Who do you like and who do you like?
I still got them in 7. There hasn't been anything I've seen that makes me feel this thing isn't going to end in 7 with Boston emerging victorious. I just think they're the better team. I think and they've been really great at making adjustments after defeats. And they've been, I just feel they're going to be the better team at the end of the day. I just think that's what has gotten them to this point. But the one thing that I will say, and I'll just leave it at this, is that they got to stop playing with fire. They have been flirting with defeat and having their season
For
pretty much
real.
in the last 2 rounds, where they really put themselves in really bad predicaments. And now, even though this is a disappointing loss, you still have control of this series. I mean, you literally can control how this thing ends by simply handling your business in your building.
Right.
Will they do that?
Certainly.
We'll see.
Yeah, you're
I
still in
like
a
their
good
chances of
spot.
bouncing back.
Yeah, you're
What's
still
up,
in a good
Josue?
spot at 1-1.
Right. And I like their chances of bouncing back, but like Sherrod just said, I mean, why do you have to go the hard route every single time? You don't have home court advantage in this series. I don't think the Celtics. I mean, look, Game 7 is a coin flip, in my opinion. But if I'm a betting man, I probably like the Warriors' chances, and that's why going into this one, I still think the Celtics can pull it off in 6. However, they're gonna have to play again the way they played against the Milwaukee Bucks, right? You have to, after a win, the same energy that you bring in after a loss, right? Which is what we're gonna see in Game 3 in Boston. Back in the finals is back in Boston after 12 years. All that stuff. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I'm confident they can win that. Game 3. If you win another one, you put yourself in really good shape. However, the Celtics have to be the same team that they've been. That identity, that defensive identity, they cannot get in their own way. That was the case here tonight, I think. And look, you got to give props to the Warriors because they capitalized. They certainly made adjustments. They were closing out more. They were being more aggressive. I mean, that's what forced these turnovers, in my opinion. However, you're gonna have to bring that same energy back in Game 3 because the Golden State Warriors will do the same. And there's a lot of other weapons here. I mean, there's not a whole lot of weapons for Golden State to turn to in terms of guys that can put the ball on the floor and score. I thought this would be the game we see Klay Thompson, give us a better performance than what we saw in Game 1, and he went the other way. He reverted. So Celtics have to capitalize on this.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy's rubbing his chin. He got something good. What you got?
No, honestly, the Warriors played like a team that felt like they needed to win tonight, and the Celtics didn't. The Celtics need to have that mentality every single game because when they do, good things happen. We've seen it happen in elimination games for them. When their backs are up against the wall, they play better. They win the game. When they jump up to a 1-0 series lead and they're on the road and they're already saying, oh, well, we already got one. That's the product that you saw tonight. So it's hard for me to say who's going to show up and say, oh, yeah, I like the Celtics, I like the Warriors. I had the Celtics in 7. They've split on the road. So, of course, I still like the Celtics in this series. I didn't like a lot of the things that I saw tonight, but I also think some of those are fixable. My concerns are with like Rob and now a little bit Marcus. I'm not sure if he's healthy. Those 2 players will obviously change the game here if they can't get right or at least right enough. Other than that, I still think the Celtics are a more talented team as a whole, but they have to come to play. If they don't, the Warriors are too good, too experienced, and they can't take quarters off and expect to claw back and win the game. The Warriors are just too lethal.
I think you make a good point on Rob there. If he starts deteriorating as the series goes on, if Al's tank empties as this progresses, if Smart picks up another bumper bruise here, the gap definitely closes. And again, I looked at the Celtics as the better team coming into this series. Everyone around the country was looking at the Warriors. I think there's a tough matchup for the Warriors, but they did close the gap here tonight with some of the adjustments they made. I'm not going to go the Celtics didn't play hard enough or show up route. There's some of that, but the Warriors made some really key adjustments here that made it tough on Boston, made things unpredictable. The way they utilized Green beyond the antics, like actually basketball-wise, was pretty effective there. The Bielitsa minutes worked way better than anticipated. And again, swapping out Iguodala for Peyton was like day and night for them. So I do worry.
That's a good
I'm not going
point.
to go the 6 route. I was thinking about after Game 1 because I'm just like, how do the Warriors respond? Like this matchup just looks so shaky for them. And they did find an answer here tonight. And this isn't a series like the Miami one where I look at the other team and say, oh, like, how are they going to do this? They're just overmatched. The Warriors have every chance to win this series. They got the personnel. They got the talent. And if this goes 7, as I think a lot of us think, Sherrod just said it's 7-game series here. 7's always a coin flip. One guy gets hot, swings the other way. You can lose this series, but I still got the Celtics here in 7.
Celtics in 6. Let's see.
Yeah, we're back into the same Miami conversation. I'm not comparing these teams by any means. Totally different teams, totally different styles. But the general vibe, I still think is Celtics best beats the Warriors best, and I really do believe
That's
that.
how I feel.
But you just don't know if the Warriors are going to show their best more often than the Celtics do, and that's where you're kind of stuck guessing. So it really is hard to guess. Again, I'm watching Bobby, and I kind of felt the same thing at the same time we're watching this. I'm like, Golden State's struggling to figure out how to play Boston still, and they're trying weird stuff and different lineups, and I just don't. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling what they're going to bring here.
But what worries me, John, is if Rob breaks down.
But I'm
like
already.
Things would just start flying.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm making my calculations based off of Rob Williams being 30 to 40% of what he can be. I have my expectations for Rob so ridiculously low that I just don't think he's going to be a major factor in the series. And if he is, it's going to be detrimental, more likely than not. I think at this point, you really have to manage his minutes carefully. And I would abandon starting with him starting now.
I think you're in trouble. If that's true, and I don't think it's necessarily true yet, but if it is, I think you're going to lose.
I don't know. It's a definition of insanity. You cannot start Rob anymore. He's not bringing enough here. I'm sorry. And coming from me, that's a difficult thing to say. I think you got to stick with him. Oh, I don't know why.
I mean, he's the X factor to this. He seals off the.
Oh, you've seen Tice, haven't you?
He's the X factor. It's the person who you think is the X factor doesn't exist right now. There is no Rob, only Zool. There is no. He's not here. Okay, he's a different guy. It's that the guy
John, more Tice.
Huh?
More Tice. 50-50.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Anyway, he said more
that's
Tice.
That's an second guess out of this game. Them going in that direction to fill in the rough minutes. Sure.
I'm not. I think, again, I'm counting on limited stuff from him, but I'm counting on Marcus Smart to be Marcus Smart, not to be a guy who doesn't even remotely resemble Marcus Smart. Far more concerning his no-show. If it's due to physical ailments, that would be disappointing because you need Marcus. Marcus is the engine. You can't have him really not making contributions on both ends of the floor. That was bad. He looked like he passed up shots. He didn't want to get involved at all. He didn't try to take what happens. Marcus here's how you know Marcus was off. When the offense goes bad and goes cold and nobody can get a good shot off, Marcus says, I'm going to force the issue here. I'm going to take it into the lane and I'm going to try to make some stuff happen. He didn't do that at all tonight. He did not get involved. So I'm really concerned there's something there that's bugging him. I think if he comes back and you're going to get one on, one off with Al, and that's fine. Anyway.
Again, John, if you're saying all that, I think you got to pick the Warriors. If all that's true.
You don't tell me what I have to do. I don't have to pick the Warriors.
You think all that's true and the Celtics going to win the series?
No, I have already ruled Rob being anywhere close to the Rob that we think is an impactful player out. And I did it a series and a half ago.
What about Smart?
Smart, I'm confident Smart bounces back. I was shocked at the no-show.